Happy Homebrew Wednesday, folks. Ryan Patrick Murphy here, drinking a little homebrew. Some rye pale ale there. Not a terrible beer. Not one of my favorites, but it's not a terrible beer. I would have had a brew video this week, but I ran into some audio issues. I may have to just work on that some more, get it figured out. Hopefully I can get it figured out. But it really wasn't a big deal. It was a Mexican cerveza. It's not the big brew video that I've been telling you about. You know, what was that? It was in the Oktoberfest. So that'll be a nice kind of to walk you through. It won't be a homebrew Wednesday, but it'll be a Ryan Brews beer. So I hope to get that when I get some time. Things have just been way too busy. But I was hoping to get you at least something this week, but I didn't. So now you're just stuck with me. So I brewed the Mexican cerveza, the Cooper's Mexican cerveza. Actually had a little bit of a problem, which I think the first time I had brewed a Cooper's, which I had ordered from Austin Homebrew Supply, I had this issue. In those instructions, it tells you to use 2 gallons of hot water, and I believe the canned kits only tell you to use a gallon or so. I have to double check that. I don't think I have the empty can over here where I can look pretty easily. No. But I think the canned kits themselves tell you to use a lot less. Austin Homebrew wants you to use 2 gallons, so you know, I did that, and I put it in the fermenter, got everything, all the DME, LME, beer ad kit, pack, whatever, you know, got that all mixed up, and topped up to 5 gallons. Now, I know these are 6-gallon kits, but I do 5 gallon to raise the alcohol a little bit, and make sure it'll fit in my keg and have more flavor. Well, I kind of forgot about this from the first time I had ever done this. I've done it a couple times since. But the 5 gallons, once you top it off with 3 gallons of cold water, it's not cold enough to pitch the yeast. It's still like the 80 to 100 degree water range. And guess who pitched the yeast without checking the temperature? This guy. So immediately, you know, I pitched the yeast, put the lid on, put it away. Come back an hour later, and the airlock's bubbling. I'm like, holy crap, that Cooper's yeast has gone crazy. Now, in this particular beer kit, the Mexican cerveza, the Cooper's yeast, they enclose a mix of their house yeast and a lager yeast in that. So, in case you're wondering, I also have that information available at iowabeermafia.com in the blog right on the front page. So if you want to go look and see what yeast, they don't give you any specific names, but you can. It'll tell you whether it's a lager yeast, a mix of lager and ale yeast, or if it's their house ale yeast, as opposed to another commercial yeast that they keep confidential. So anyway, saw the thing was bubbling, and then I looked at the thermometer. Right on the side of the thermometer, one of those sticky thermometers. Looked at that and went, uh-oh, I don't see any colors on there. It's over 78 degrees at least. I know at minimum it was 80 degrees. So I grab it, pull it out here, and go, okay, I have a spare pack of yeast, I can pitch this, but I need to get this temperature down and keep that yeast from going all crazy and get stressed out and spewing bad off flavors and all that, which it may still do that. So what I did, and I don't recommend you do this, I really don't recommend you do this, but if you're in panic mode, I'd actually don't try this until I try the beer, okay? And I'll let you know if it worked. I went to the ice maker and grabbed the thing of ice, pulled that lid off, and just dumped a whole bunch of ice in it. Okay, whole bunch of ice. I wish I had a sanitized spoon, which I didn't because I had just used it, and it wouldn't sanitize and cleaned up again right away because I was taking a little break, and I had to wait a little bit. And every once in a while I go shake the fermenter, just try to get that ice stirred up a little bit, get that cold liquid at the top down to the bottom. And it was probably a good few hours before the temperature still dropped, but I don't know if the yeast was doing anything. Now, did I shock the yeast? Did I stress out the yeast by doing that even more than was already stressed out? There's a good chance of that, okay? I'm not suggesting you do this. That's why I'm saying wait until you see the next time when I actually have, or the video where I actually am testing it. I will let you know if the freak out worked, okay? The panic mode. But anyway, and I was going to pitch the new yeast because I assumed that I was just going to kill the Cooper's yeast by doing what I was doing. A few hours went by, the ice finally melted. You know, it takes a while for that ice to melt because it's in a plastic container. And it's cooled all the liquid where it's sitting in because it's all floating on top. But it took a while for the rest of it to cool down. Probably 4 hours later, 4 or 5 hours, the airlock is pushing out CO2 again. Temperature's probably about 75 degrees. So that's a good sign. I decided not to pitch the spare yeast I had. I was going to pitch USO5, but I decided not to. I was like, you know what? This could be a great experiment. An experiment in disguise. So let it go, and it's been fermenting. It fermented for a few days so far. So I think maybe the yeast just picked up, went along with it. Are there off flavors? I don't know yet. So I'm saying let's wait a few weeks. Once I get into a keg, I'll go to the trouble of caking it. And if it's absolutely awful, I'll dump it. If a lime will fix it, because I'm going to put a lime in it. You naysayers out there who think it's blasphemy to put something in beer. But you know what? About that, if, people make cocktails, does that mean the liquor it goes into, it's not good liquor? Well, sometimes it does, actually. That's a bad example, because sometimes it does. But, sometimes people just like the cocktail. It's not too different, when you put an orange in a Blue Moon or a wheat beer and putting a lime in a Mexican cerveza, it just brings something to it. But yes, Corona is terrible by itself, by the way. Anyway, I went off on a tangent there. So, in a few weeks, I should be able to get that beer in the keg and we can try it out, see how my little panic worked, see if, I'm hoping that ice just slowed the yeast down and it just kind of stopped working, and the mix of the warmth and cold, it just finally kicked back on and just start going happy. But, I won't know for a few weeks. I'll let you know. Same day that I made that huge mistake, I decided to brew another batch of beer. Because, I felt that I needed at least one good batch of beer, and I brewed the Dave's British Bitter. Normally, this beer has a pound of Crystal 77. It's a crystal malt made by Crisp. I was not able to get that from Northern Brewer, so I just went with Crystal 80. Probably close enough, maybe a little darker than I wanted it, but it should come out alright. So that's fermenting away. That's using Windsor yeast, and that went a little crazy. Didn't make a huge mess, but it was the first time with the Speedle fermenters that I've seen the airlock actually bubble out Star Sand. I haven't seen that in a long... Actually, I've never seen that. I've never seen that out of that particular airlock. And if you haven't seen that airlock, those are big airlocks on those fermenters. So you can go look that up. It's like a beer can size almost. Alright, so I think that's all I have for this week. I'm going to try to get this uploaded real quick. You'll have to, hopefully you excuse all the fact I don't have a title or an intro or anything. I'm just going to put the video up for you so you can have it. Cheers, 17. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.